Here we're going to look at using credit cards and some of the calculations that go along with credit cards. The first thing we're going to examine are the number of days in a billing cycle. To set this up, the billing date for a credit card is always the same every month, and that initiates the beginning of the billing cycle. What I mean by it's on the same date each month is if your billing date is on the 10th, it would be on March 10th, and then the next one would be April 10th, and then the next one would be May 10th, and then so on. And that would be the start of the billing cycle. So a billing cycle that starts on March 10th would go all the way through until April 9th, the day before the beginning of the next billing cycle. And the next billing cycle starts April 10th, and that'll go through to May 9th. And then the next billing cycle would start on May 10th and go all the way until June 9th, and so on and so on. When we think about how many days there are in a billing cycle, what we have to look at is when did it start and when did it end? The first billing cycle we have here starts on March 10th and goes until April 10th. So it goes through the end of March. The last day of March is in that billing cycle. And since March has 31 days, that billing cycle has 31 days. A billing cycle that starts on April 10th would go through the end of April. And since April has 30 days, that billing cycle would have 30 days. And a billing cycle that starts on May 10th would go through the end of May. And since May has 31 days, that billing cycle would have 31 days. A key here to look at when you're trying to determine how many days are going to be in this billing cycle is what month did it start in? If the billing cycle starts in March, it's going to go through the end of March, and the number of days in March is going to tell us the number of days in our billing cycle. Same thing's true if it starts in April. It's going to go through the end of April, so the number of days in April will tell us how many days are in our billing cycle. The month that it starts in, the billing cycle goes through the end of that month, so that month tells us the number of days in the billing cycle. So it's the month that it starts in that lets us know how many days we'll have in the billing cycle. One thing sometimes students aren't really aware of is, well, I don't know how many days there are in every month. I have a little rhyme that kind of helps me remember. It's 30 days in September, April, June, and November. 30 days in September, April, June, and November. And then all the rest of the months have 31 except February, and that's really easy to remember. But the 30-day months are September, April, June, and November. And that little rhyme might help you. 30 days have September, April, June, and November. And then remember, it's the month that a billing period starts in that lets us know how many days there are going to be in the billing period. The average daily balance. Every day that a cardholder has a credit card, there's either purchases or payments, and the balance is going to fluctuate. It's going to change. But every day, at the end of that day, there is going to be some sort of a balance, whether it's $0, $100, $500, whatever it might be. And the credit card company keeps track of this balance on a daily basis. And then what happens is that at the end of the day, that balance is recorded, and this is done every single day throughout the month. And then those are all added up. We get the sum of all of the daily balances divided by the number of days in the billing cycle, and that gives the average daily balance. The average daily balance is used when the monthly finance charge is calculated, and that's what we're going to look at next. A credit card finance charge is based upon the average daily balance, how much you owed on average for every single day, the annual percentage rate of the card, and the number of days that are in the billing cycle. Let's take a look at this formula for finance charge in a little bit of detail here. So the key components are the average daily balance, which add up the balance at the end of each day, divide by the number of days in the cycle. The annual percentage rate, that's the interest rate that the credit card is going to charge. And then the number of days in the billing cycle, which can vary between 28, 30, and 31. The other thing we didn't mention in that formula is the 365. And what that is there's 365 days in a year. So in essence, what we've got here is the annual percentage rate divided by 365. So we've kind of created a daily percentage rate in there. So what we're doing is, what was your balance? What's the daily rate? And how many days are there? That's how the monthly finance charge gets calculated. Let's look at an example. A credit card with an annual percentage rate of 17% has an average daily balance of $317.22 during a billing period that was 31 days long. What's the finance charge? So we're going to use this formula to calculate the finance charge, and we'll start out with the average daily balance. That's $317.22. We're going to multiply that by the annual percentage rate, which is 17%. We'll convert that to a decimal, divided by 365. And then we'll multiply that by the number of days in the billing cycle, and here we were told that's 31. So we'll multiply all these together. $317.22 times 0.17 divided by 365, and then multiply by 31, and we wind up with 4.5801. This is a problem involving money, so we are going to round to the nearest cent, which means we are going to round to the nearest hundredth. We'll find the hundredths place and we'll look one space to the right. Since that number is 4 or lower, we'll round down, and the amount of finance charge in this particular situation would be $4.58. One other thing we need to look at is the balance due. Once you get to the end of the month and your credit card has a certain balance on it, you add the finance charge to that, and that's your balance due. So the balance due is your ending balance plus the finance charge. Notice the average daily balance is important because we use that when we calculate the finance charge, but that's not a part of the balance due. The balance due is the balance at the end of the billing period plus the finance charge. So let's take a look at this one. A credit card with an annual percentage rate of 18.5% has an average daily balance of $631.55 during a billing period that was 30 days long. The balance at the end of the billing cycle was $710. What is the finance charge? And what is the balance due? First, we'll find the finance charge, and we'll use our formula right here. And we'll take our average daily balance of $631.55. And we're going to multiply that times the APR, 18.5% converted to a decimal, divided by 365, multiplied by the days in the billing cycle, which for this one was 30. And so we'll multiply 631.55 times 0.185 divided by 365 and multiply by 30. And we end up with 9.6030. And then we're going to round that to the nearest hundredth because this deals with money. So we're going to the nearest cent. I look one space to the right. Since that number is 4 or lower, I'm going to round down. And then the finance charge here is going to be $9.60. So the finance charge is $9.60. And then the other thing we were asked to find here was the balance due. The balance due is going to be the ending balance, which we were told the balance at the end of the billing cycle was $710, plus the finance charge, which we calculated to be $9.60. So the balance due on this account is going to be $719.60.